What happened to our basil? Was that Simon?
Excuse me?
Excuse me? I was carrying that.
Yeah, I know. What? Why do you have a basil plant? Where'd you get it? What's this for?
It's a basil plant. Well, I got it in the lounge or
In the lounge?
Maybe it was a kitchen, I think.
A lounge kitchen?
A lounge kitchen, yeah. I think that's what it was, yes, sir. And I figured we could use it for our recipe.
You don't mean the Velveteen Lounge Kitchen, do you?
But that does ring a bell of sorts.
Did they give you this basil plant, or did you just take it?
I have basil.
Okay. Well, I mean, you're a long ways away, so there's no way this is going to get back to them. So why don't we make something with basil? What did you want to make?
Something with cheese, I think.
Okay, so we are going.
Cheese and basil.
We are going to take
Cheese
this.
and basil salad or something.
I have a good idea. So we're going to take this beautiful basil that Simon has acquired.
Yes, I acquired it.
From our friends at the Velveteen Lounge Kitchen, and we are going
They
to.
were rather friendly, or they would be if I had met them, I think.
Yeah, if you didn't steal off in the middle of the daytime with their plant.
That's your story, yeah.
So we are going to make some Parmesan Basil Crisps with the basil that we got from our friends at the Velveteen Lounge Kitchen. And the Velveteen Lounge Kitchen, do you know what they do?
They grow basil, I think.
They do grow basil, and they are going to make a cocktail. They on their channel, which you can check out by clicking on the description below, or on the information button that will show up at the top of this video. They make cocktails. They're very 50s inspired, 40s and 50s inspired, very kitschy, very tiki lounge.
Meanwhile, as opposed to being 50.
As opposed to being 50, which is what I am. We are going to make something with basil. They're going to make a cocktail with basil, and together it'll be a party. What do you think?
Works for me.
All right, so stay tuned, and we will teach you how to make some basil Parmesan crisps. So our first ingredient is, of course...
Well, of course it would be basil.
Basil.
I think so. I acquired the basil, so I figured the first thing... You made the request for the basil, and I figured the first thing would be the basil, but what would I know? Maybe it's another ingredient. In our case, I suppose we could make... It could be another ingredient, but right now I think I would have guessed the basil, but what do you want? Whatever you think.
It's basil. We are going to use about 2 tablespoons of shredded basil. You want to shred it up into very, very small pieces. Fresh basil works best, but if you don't have fresh basil, you can always use chopped basil leaves that you would find in the spice aisle. That's all you have to say?
I think I said it all.
I think you did too. The next ingredient for our Parmesan Basil Crisps is...
I'll ramble on about the basil. You can ramble on about that other one lately.
Parmesan cheese. We are going...
It's not much of a ramble of it. Yeah,
I'm not really much of a rambler. I like to get right to it. Do you have anything to say about cheese?
I like it.
So do I. And we are going to use 1 cup of shredded Parmesan cheese. And our final ingredient is...
A lemon.
A lemon. Actually, we're going to...
I do have a question though.
Yes.
Oh, you said it was Parmesan Basil Crisps, or
yes,
Basil Parmesan Crisps, whatever you said. At no point in that title did you mention a lemon.
Well, the lemon just adds a nice bit of zing to it. It also adds a little bit of lightness. The basil is a very heavy flavor. The Parmesan is, of course, a big salty flavor. So the lemon really brightens things up. You can use whatever you want. We're going to use the zest of 1 lemon, but you could add garlic powder or onion powder or another herb if you wanted to, or you could just leave it with those 2 ingredients.
If you had told me it wasn't another herb, I could have acquired that. I mean,
no. We don't need any others. We don't need you to.
It wouldn't take me more than a couple minutes. I could return.
Why don't you hold on to the lemon?
All right, thank you.
So we're going to use the zest of 1 lemon. So I have my cheese all ready in a bowl. This is 1 cup of shredded Parmesan cheese. You can shred your own cheese if you want to. If you want to use a different cheese, just make sure that it is a hard cheese and not a soft cheese, something that will come back together and will crisp up really nicely. And now I have my basil leaves, which I have picked off of that lovely plant that Simon acquired for us. I hope the folks at the Velveteen Kitchen don't get too upset that we're using it, but it's a long way back to their house. So I'm just going to roll this up into a small bundle, and then I am just going to cut this into very, very small shreds. Now once I have my Parmesan all shredded up and into some nice small pieces, I'm going to distribute that directly into the cheese, and then we will mix it once we put in the lemon. Now I have my lemon. If you want to measure this out, this is going to be about a half teaspoon to a teaspoon, but I'm just going to zest the whole skin of this lemon because I want these to be quite lemony. Okay, when you've zested your lemon, you're going to just want to take the yellow part off. You don't want to take this white pith off because that is really bitter, and the lemon flavor is going to come directly from the zest. Now I'm just going to mix up these three ingredients until everything's really well distributed. Alright, I have a baking sheet that's lined with parchment paper. You can use either parchment paper or a silicone baking sheet, but don't spray this down because it will, with any sort of cooking spray, because it would just spread out the cheese too much. You want these to spread out a bit, but you don't want them to spread out all over the whole tray. So I'm going to take, I actually have a measuring spoon. I am going to take as close to exactly the same amount for each cracker. Because these cook so fast, I want to make sure that none cook a little bit more than others. So I'm going to take 1 heaping tablespoon for each cracker and just lay them right down on my baking sheet. With this mixture, you should be able to get 12 1 tablespoonful amount of cheese. Make sure that you spread them out as much as you can on your baking sheet, just to try to avoid as much spreading into each other as possible. They may spread into each other a little bit, but you can cut them apart after you take them out of the oven. Now I'm just going to put this into an oven that I have preheated to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. This is going to take just 3 to 5 minutes. You're going to watch these like a hawk because they can burn very easily. Then you're going to take them out as soon as they turn brown and start bubbling. Okay, these are straight out of the oven. You can see them, or maybe you can just hear them. They are definitely sizzling. Right now they're still soft, but they will crisp up as they cool down. They have spread out a bit, but not too bad. And you can see around all the edges, they're nice and crispy and brown. You can go a little bit lighter than this, but not by much. And you also don't want to go too much darker than this, because if they're too dark, they're just going to crumble when you try to take them off the sheet. So we're going to let those cool down, and then we will see what they taste like. He likes it a lot.
Yep.
What do you think, Simon?
Very good.
These are wonderful.
Taste the basil.
You can definitely taste the basil. You can also taste the lemon, but it's not too overpowering.
No, not at all.
It's more of just a little bit of brightness
You know
to
these
this.
cheese crackers you could use?
I'm sorry, what?
You know what those cheese crackers could use?
What could they use?
Some cheese, of course.
Well, you could always put a little bit more cheese on top of them if you wanted to.
Yeah.
These are a great snack to make if you are going to be having a cocktail party, like the ones that might be thrown at the Velveteen Lounge Kitchen. Once again,
They were throwing a party, yeah. I should have stuck around on that.
you really should have. I mean, maybe they would have given you.
beverage or something, huh?
Yes, and they are going to make a wonderful cocktail with some basil. I think it's going to have basil and strawberries, and I know you do like strawberries.
Yes, definitely. Most
Yep.
definitely.
And this,
I'll be back in a bit.
okay, so this crisp would go very well with a cocktail, and these only take a few minutes to make, so your cocktail party, you could make them just before your guests arrive, and you have a wonderful little cheesy crisp. And no Simon to eat them with.
I heard that.
Where did Simon go? As soon as the crisps go away, they...
What?
Did you think that I was going to be here?
Well, yeah.
You know, you're always acquiring stuff. You can just ask.
Can I have the whatever you call it,
The spatula?
The spatula. Can I have that spatula?
You can if you will tell the people who are watching what they can do to help out this show.
They can subscribe, they can hit the little button below where they can share it with their friends, or I'm out of ideas.
Okay.
Can I have the spatula now?
You can have the spatula now. So if you subscribe, you will be notified whenever there is a new episode. We make 3-ingredient recipes every Thursday. We also have some other shows here. We have our friend Sullivan. He wants desperately to be super famous. He's here on Wednesdays. On weekends, we have George and Dog. They talk about good self-esteem. And then on Mondays, we've just started to make live streams where we're making new puppets and... Well, where'd you put the spatula?
My friends would also like a wild whiskey for this, if it's all possible.
He's cheeky. We'll see you again next time. Thanks for joining us this time. Bye-bye.
Well, the basil, of course.
Basil.
I wouldn't imagine it would be something else. Basil was procured, so yeah, but I figure I'd do the first ingredient would be something like basil. Would you say that? I would think so, anyway.
So our first ingredient is basil. We are going to use about 2 tablespoons one more time. Sorry, that was good too.